Hey guys, how's it going? Danconia. Welcome back to the Overwatch Contenders Roundup. Okay then, so we've got quite a bit to get through because we've got some main tournaments that we need to talk about, or the first weeks of those main tournaments, and we've got a trials to talk about. We're going to talk about the trials first because this is trials in Korea. Korea is taking a little bit longer than the other regions. We've already had trials in all the other regions, and Korea will be coming in as the last one. And then we'll be going into a main sort of league format contenders tournament for Korea. So, in Korea, we saw GC Busan Wave, Talon Esports, SGA Esports, Starlight Gaming, Team Diamond, Impossible to Measure, Normal, and Blossom. And we'll go through the bracket. It's a pretty normal bracket, except we don't have a grand final between the winner of the losers bracket and the winner of the winners bracket. And that's a format that is being replicated across different regions as well, which you'll see throughout this video. But in the quarterfinals, we saw GC Busan Wave taking on Blossom. This would be a 3-2 win for Blossom. Talon Esports would take on Team Diamond. This is a 3-1 win for Talon Esports. Remember, Talon Esports were the winners in the Pacific, but because the Pacific region doesn't exist anymore, the winners of the Pacific region, which were obviously Talon, were given the opportunity to take part in contenders trials for Korea. Starlight would take on ITM, or that is Impossible to Measure. And this would be a 3-2 win for Impossible to Measure, and SGA would take on Normal, and this would be a 3-2 win for Normal. Then, moving into the losers bracket round 1, GC Busan Wave would take on Team Diamond. This would be a 3-1 win for Team Diamond. Team Diamond are a pretty interesting new team coming into the contenders scene in Korea. They've got some pretty big names. Unique is one of them, who used to be on Element Mystic, so yeah, I'm not surprised this team is doing well. Disappointing for GC Busan Wave though, still not hitting those heights that they want to hit. Then we had Starlight take on SGA, and this would be a 3-0 win for Starlight. In the winners bracket semi-finals, we saw Blossom take on Talon Esports. This is a close one, but Talon Esports get a 3-2 win. And Impossible to Measure take on Normal. This is a 3-0 win for Impossible to Measure. And then in the losers bracket round 2, Blossom would take on Team Diamond. Again, it's another 3-1 win for Team Diamond. And Normal would take on Starlight, and this would be a 3-0 win for Starlight. And in that losers bracket round 3, Team Diamond would take on Starlight, and it would be a 3-0 win for Team Diamond. We move back to the winners bracket now with the winners bracket final, where we see Talon Esports taking on Impossible to Measure, and it will be a 3-0 for Talon Esports, crowning them as champions of this trials tournament in Korea. Pretty big step for the Talon Esports squad that want to be right at the top of this Korean region. And it's going to be tough when they come up against the likes of Runaway, Element Mystic, and Gen.G and O2 Blast when we get to them, but yeah, they're definitely doing right so far. In the losers bracket finals, we saw Impossible to Measure taking on Team Diamond, and it would be a 3-1 win for Team Diamond, crowning them as second place in this tournament, meaning that going through to the Overwatch Contenders Tournament for Korea will be Talon Esports and Team Diamond, and unfortunately, Impossible to Measure, Starlight, Blossom, Normal, GC Busan Wave, and SGA Esports would be missing out, and it'll be very interesting to see how this Contenders Tournament goes down in South Korea. Overall in South Korea, we will see O2 Blast, Runaway, World Game Star Phoenix, OZ Gaming, Element Mystic, Gen.G Esports, Team BM, T1, Talon Esports, and Team Diamond. Going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting in Korea, I think. Where Talon Esports sort of fall, whether Runaway are going to be better than they were last season. In Element Mystic didn't live up to expectations. So, yeah, it's going to be super duper interesting in Korea. But now we move on to our main tournaments. And this is where we want to get to, isn't it? Because this is where the nitty gritty gets in. This is where money gets handed out. And we're going to start off in China. So this is different to where other regions are doing it. Some regions are doing it monthly. We will cover Europe and NA in a minute, who are doing it monthly. China are doing it weekly. So this is week 1 of their contenders tournament. This is very similar to the format we saw in the previous season, which is a points-based thing. So if you come first, you get 100 points and blah, 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 like that. And it's added up over the season, and then you get a playoff at the end. But let's start off with this main Week 1 Contenders Tournament for China. We saw Team CC, Flag Gaming, Bilibili Gaming, Innocent Revolters, First Fabulous Fighter, the one winner, like this player, EAG, Ignite 1, their debut as the Guangzhou Chargers Academy, Zenith of Optimism, Cosmos Veritas Gaming, and LVG Esports. So, in the group stages, it's a group stage into a knockout stage. We saw Team CC, like this player, Flag Gaming, Innocent Revolters, Bilibili Gaming, LVG EP, and the one winner and First Fabulous Fighter make it out of those group stages. Zenith of Optimism, EAG, Cosmos Veritas Gaming, and Ignite 1 would not make it out, with no wins on the board across any of those teams. Disappointing start for Ignite 1, and I'm sure they will want to improve on that with some of the names they've actually got on that squad. That's a surprising one. But in the knockout stage, we saw the one winner take on Like This Player. This was a 3-0 win for the one winner. The Flag Gaming would take on LV Jing EP. This would be a 3-0 win for Flag Gaming. Billy Billy Gaming would take on Innocent Revolters. This would be a 3-0 win for Billy Billy Gaming. And Team CC would take on First Fabulous Fighter. And this would be a 3-0 win for Team CC. You can see the clear dominance of the 4 main teams in China. The one winner would take on Flag Gaming. This would be a 3-1 win for the one winner. And Billy Billy Gaming would take on Team CC in the semi-finals. And this would be a 3-0 win for Team CC. In the final, we saw the one winner take it on Team CC, and it would be a 3-0 win for Team CC. No surprise, Team CC are still on top in China. The third place match was between Flag Gaming and Billy Billy Gaming, and this is a 3-2 win for Flag Gaming, meaning that the 1 is Team CC. In our second place, we have the one winner. Third place is Flag Gaming, and fourth place is Billy Billy Gaming. And that rounds out your top 4 spots for the points. And then the last teams to pick up points, which will be 20 points, will be the Like This Player, First Fabulous Fighter, Innocent Revolters, and LV Jing EP. The other teams who didn't make it through the group stage miss out on any points this time around, which is pretty unfortunate. But plenty of time to change that. Plenty of time to change that. There's a long way to go in this contender season yet in China. But now we're getting into the interesting stuff. It's time to go to Europe for their main contenders tournament for July. So, in this one, we saw British Hurricane, Obey Alliance, Ex Oblivione, Shoes Crew EU, Young and Beautiful, Vox the Hilly, Sheer Cold, and Avoided. British Hurricane current holders of the contenders title in Europe in dominant fashion in Season 1. Obey Alliance coming in as the recently bought out Raspberry Racers. Very, very good team that sprung up at the end of Season 1. So, let's take a look at it then. Quarterfinals, British Hurricane would take on Vox the Hilly. This would be a 2-0 win for British Hurricane. This is first to 2, remember, so it's a pretty quick format in the early stages. But Shoes Crew EU would take on Sheer Cold. This would be a 2-0 win for Sheer Cold. Avoided would take on Ex Oblivione. This would be a 2-1 win for Ex Oblivione. And Young and Beautiful would take on Obey Alliance. And this would be a 2-1 win for Obey Alliance. Losers bracket round 1. Young and Beautiful would take on Avoided. This would be a 2-0 win for Young and Beautiful. And Shoes Crew EU would take on Vox the Hilly. And this would be a 2-0 win for Shoes Crew EU. Back to the winners bracket in the semi-finals, British Hurricane would take on Sheer Cold. This would be a 2-0 win for British Hurricane. Ex Oblivione would take on Obey Alliance, and this would be a 2-1 win for Obey Alliance. Back to the losers bracket round 2. This would see Sheer Cold taking on Young and Beautiful. This would be a 2-1 win for Young and Beautiful. And Ex Oblivione take on Shoes Crew EU. This would be a 2-0 win for Ex Oblivione. Setting up a match between Ex Oblivione and Young and Beautiful in the losers bracket round 3, which Young and Beautiful would take home 2-1. We move to the winners bracket final now. Remember, there is no grand final, so whoever wins the winners bracket final is the first place, and whoever wins the losers bracket final is the second place. There's no grand final like there was last season. So, the winners bracket final was between British Hurricane and Obey Alliance. This is first to 3, not first to 2. It's a 3-0 for British Hurricane. British Hurricane is still dominating. They lost Yofi, I believe, they lost Yofi in the off-season. And they brought in Kellox, the ex-Overwatch League support, who was with the Toronto Defiant and Boston Uprising, if I believe rightly. He came out of retirement to play with the British Hurricane, and they don't look any less powerful for it. Not a single map dropped. Not a single map dropped throughout that tournament. So well done to the British Hurricane. They are the winners for July in EU. But we had the losers bracket final. This was Obey Alliance taking on Young and Beautiful, and Obey Alliance will get a 2-0 victory, meaning they would be the runners-up. So Obey Alliance were Raspberry Racers. It's no surprise to me that they are doing very well. And it's gone pretty as expected. I think Ex Oblivione have done slightly better than I expected. Sheer Cold have done slightly worse than expected. But again, there's been some changes in the off-season which has seen the balance of power sort of shift slightly. But Young and Beautiful, I expected to do this well, and they've got some very good players on their team. But first was British Hurricane taking home $13,475. Obey Alliance would take home $6,125 in the second place. $3,500 to third and fourth, which was Young and Beautiful and Ex Oblivione. $2,100 to Sheer Cold and Shoes Crew EU. And Avoided and Vox the Hilly would also take home those $2,100. The top 4 teams, so British Hurricane, Obey Alliance, Young and Beautiful and Ex Oblivione, will go through to the August tournament automatically. And then the bottom 4 teams, Sheer Cold, Shoes Crew EU, Avoided and Vox the Hilly, will go through to the trials for August, I should say. And the only team that has, I think, been promoted out of trials now is Young and Beautiful. and they have been replaced by Shoesman Crew EU in the trials, and we'll see if that changes in August. But now we are going to round this out with the North American region, and North America is actually kind of interesting right now. No academy teams in this, no academy teams whatsoever. So it's pretty interesting. The only academy team in NA right now is Uprising Academy, and they didn't make it through the trials. So in this region, we had Team Doge, Comically Large, Crosshair, Slept On, Triumph, Odyssey, Cyan Esports, Malibu, and Square One. Team Doge, current holders of the Contenders title, but there are some very interesting teams coming up the ranks, like Slept On and others among them. So into the quarterfinals we go. Team Doge took on Square One. This would be a 2-0 win for Team Doge. Triumph would take on Odyssey. This would be a 2-0 win for Odyssey. Malibu would take on Slept On, and this would be a 2-0 win for Slept On. And Cyan Esports would take on Comically Large Crosshair, which I love the name of, and this would be a 2-0 win for Cyan Esports. In the losers bracket round 1, we saw Comically Large Crosshair take on Malibu. This would be a 2-0 win for Comically Large Crosshair. And Triumph would take on Square One. This would be a 2-0 win for Square One. In the winners bracket semi-finals, we saw Team Doge take on Odyssey. This is a 2-1 win for Odyssey. This is a surprise. That's a surprise, I am not going to lie. And Slept On took on Cyan Esports, and this would be a 2-0 win for Slept On. Losers bracket round 2, Team Doge would take on Comically Large Crosshair. This would be a 2-0 win for Team Doge. And Cyan Esports would take on Square One. This would be a 2-0 win for Square One. Setting up that losers bracket round 3 for Team Doge taking on Square One. This would be a 2-0 win for Team Doge. I didn't expect Team Doge to be in the losers bracket, I'm not going to lie. But in the winners bracket final, we saw Odyssey taking on Slept On. This will be a first to 3, as we saw in the EU region. And this will be a 3-1 win for Slept On, meaning Slept On are a new team and have been crowned champions in their first go at Contenders in North America. So congratulations to them. And Odyssey will drop down to that losers bracket final against Team Doge. They will get a 2-1 win over Team Doge, crowning them as second place. Team Doge down to third. It's a bit of a surprise. They've had a shake-up, shall we say. They're not exactly the same team as one last time around, but they've still got a very good team. Speedily, Hybrid, Elivote, AFOX. They've also got some coaches in now as well, so a bit of a surprise for them to struggle as much, but Slept On, they have a lot of experience in them. They've got Track, Doge, Cowman, 7-Eleven, but they've also got great coaches in Gods and Fact Fiction, so there's a lot of experience, a lot of OWL experience to learn from there. So the prize money is exactly the same as it is in the EU region, so I'm not going to go over it again, but Slept On are the number 1, Odyssey 2, Team Doge 3rd, Square One 4th. They'll all go through to the August tournament automatically. And then going back down to trials, in 5th we have Comically Large Crosshair, 6th we have Cyan Esports, 7th we have Malibu, and 8th we have Triumph. I thought Malibu would do slightly better. I thought Triumph maybe would do a little bit better. But it's kind of competitive in this region. So I'm not gonna go off on it, if you see what I mean. But that rounds it out for this one. Obviously, there won't be immediately a very quick another tournament for NA and EU. We'll have to go through trials first. But there will be more main tournaments from China. We'll be starting to get into Korea, Australia, obviously, as well. And it'll be super interesting. South America as well, I should not count out. But the South American results will be coming up pretty soon because they haven't quite finished their main tournament start yet. And as this video goes out, so they're starting, I think they're finishing either today or tomorrow. And that's when I can do their results, and they'll come out probably next weekend or something. But I am going to leave it here for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.